This week's ancient manuscript looks at the very end of our Torah portion, which is Parashat Naso. At the end of Parashat Naso, which is this last column and then the middle column up to about the middle of the page, represents the end of this week's, and then the pay here represents Parashat for the next week's, which is Ha'alotecha. So, but we're just going to focus on this bottom corner here where it's describing the dedication of the altar with the setting up of the Mishkan. And there's two key words that we need to notice here. It's talking about the Zevach HaShalemim. That is the what is called normally like a fellowship offering or a peace offerings. It says Esrim v'arba'a parim, 24 bulls. A par is a bull, so parim, bulls. And then it says kevasim b'nei shana, that is male lambs a year old, shishim, 60. And the main words we're going to see in our fragment from the Qumran cave is this word shana, which means is the end of this phrase of year-old lambs. And then it's going to say shishim, which is the number 60. And above that, we're going to be able to discern from broken letters and the damaged manuscript where it says arba'a parim, which is the end of the phrase esrim v'arba'a, or 24 bulls. And this is here at the very end of Numbers. I think it's verse 88, 87 or 88. But here's our manuscript from Qumran. Again, this is from Cave 2. And what we see here is the Shana and the Shishim. And thankfully, there's no other place in the scriptures where we have the word Shana followed by the word Shishim. So that makes it fairly easy to identify. If you see here, we have our Shin, we have a Nun. And now in modern block script, we would write our Hey like that. But the way it appears here is kind of like they do at Qumran. They make this Hey that looks kind of like what we would think today is a chet, actually. But that's a shana. And then look at this. We have 3 shins in a row. We have one here, and one here. And then a yod, and then part of a mem. We know that's a mem sofit. I don't want these lines to be mistaken as patachs. So this is the end of the phrase kevasim b'nei shana. That means young lambs a year old, up to here, and then the number shishim, which is the word 60. And that only occurs in Numbers chapter 7. And so since we know that, that helps us then take a look at this upper part and try to figure out what this text said there. And there's enough information we can do that. We can see here this letter, and that's a pay. And then we know that there's this word parim that needs to be there. It's the word bulls that we talked about when we looked at the manuscript in the background. There's that Washington Pentateuch. Bulls. And then we know the word before that is 24, esrim v'arba'a, 20 and 4. And we can kind of reverse engineer. We know that this is the bottom of a bet. And that this looks like it would be a good resh. And then we see this little guy here, which to me looks like an aleph, which means there would have been an ayin here and another hey to say arba'a, and probably a vav even in front of that, because it was 24 bulls. I should have maybe written that down here. 24 bulls. So this is the and 4 part. And because that fits, and there's no other candidates, we can see that this indeed is a section from number 7. Now, because we don't have the whole text, we just have this little fleck, and this was pretty small, that we don't know. Was it an entire book of Numbers? Was it an entire Torah scroll? Was it a collection of verses? Maybe it was just a passage of Numbers. Maybe not even the whole book of Numbers. That is information we don't know. But what we do know is that it fits precisely this end of Numbers. Let's see if that'll let me zoom in here. Number 7, where it says Zevach HaShalamim. That is the Zevach HaShalamim is the peace offerings. Esrim va'arba'a parim, 24 bulls. And then down here it says kevasim b'nei shana, so young male lambs, shishim, 60. So you see our shishim right there corresponding to our Dead Sea Scroll fragment here, shishim. So I appreciate your patience. Oh, thanks, Terry. Terry says it's verse 88. I appreciate that. Good. All right. Well, shalom, everybody. This is the 49th day of the Omer, Baruch Hashem. So tonight begins the Chag HaShavuot, the Feast of Pentecost, or also known as Feast of Weeks. And I pray everybody is blessed with a wonderful, joyful celebration. Shalom, shalom.